Hello, everyone. My name is Edith, also known as Lady E, and welcome to today's podcast. So, just want to introduce someone. I'm sure you guys have seen him before. This man is just super, super gifted. I'm really excited to have him. So, I'm just going to give you the time to introduce yourself and let us know who you are.
All right, cool. Well, for one, thank you for having me, on the podcast. Definitely is always great time to talk to you. And, you already know I think of you like a big sis. So, and it's always good times for me. But, just a little bit about myself. My name is Falu. I'm 25. I live out here in Stamford, Connecticut, but I was, born and raised in Washington, D.C., where, I met Dom and the fam and everybody like that. And, through basketball and, throughout that time, we've learned a lot. We've gained a lot of knowledge, been through a lot. So, I always say like the wisdom, we gather from that area. It comes from personal experience. It's not something you could really read about or somebody tell you about. So, like I said, it's always good to see, you doing good. It's good to see, everybody else back at home doing good and, everyone moving forward.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. We are really excited to have you on today. We care about the needs of the people. We come from just a really phenomenal location, Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. So, especially having foreign backgrounds, we kind of have the best of both worlds. So, we've seen the struggle, we've seen the hardships, but we've seen a lot of victories and we have a lot of favors. So, I'm really excited to get into some of today's topics. So, first things first, I want to talk about business. Entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship is something that is really, I can't even say the word popular. It's necessary, it's how a lot of business owners become businesses. It's something that is really necessary for the community. So definitely let us know some of the areas that you have regarding business and entrepreneurship.
Right. Yeah, and I definitely agree. Entrepreneurship is definitely something that more people are becoming more educated on, and just kind of learning the system. But overall, what I do, I'm in a few different things. So I do digital marketing. I help small businesses grow online, just grow their presence, and just bring in more sales. As we know now these days, everybody is big with online sales, especially with products and even gyms and just services. So I got into that. I'm in the stock market. Stock market is something that I take serious. Even just before this meeting, I was on a meeting just talking about this week's plans and what we think is going to happen this week. But that's something I got into about a year and a half ago. And ever since then, just learning as much as possible. My mentors, gaining a community of people to, just learn and profit with at the end of the day. And then I'm in sports betting and just coaching. So, I train students out here in Stamford, Connecticut, New York area, anywhere from the ages 5 to like 17, 18. And, we train with basketball. That's something that I grew up learning and playing. So, instead of, me, I know I'm not playing anymore, but instead of me just, letting everything go to waste, I might as well share the knowledge with others, and, try to help others reach their goals. I feel like that's one of God's paths he put me on earth to do is, expand that knowledge with others and, just encourage, at the end of the day, I feel like everyone needs that person that can, help them get up, give them that pat on the back and tell them, keep moving forward. So definitely, that's something that's been taken off. And right now, I'm in the process of trying to build a gym out here in Stamford, Connecticut, and have a facility we can have different camps and tournaments and different things like that for the community. So yeah, a lot of different things going on. But like I said, the main thing at this age is trying to learn. Trying to learn as much as possible, and feel like we're in a world now where the more you learn, the better you do in the long term. So yeah, it's pretty much everything.
Yeah, that's amazing. I really love that you took the things that growing up in this area, in this community, just really focusing on just like you said with sports, not letting that go to waste. All
Right.
that wisdom, the discipline, the knowledge, the things that really help you as adult when you transition to, depend on others versus learning how to depend on God and just, the orchestration of the path that he has for you. So I really appreciate you sharing that, especially within your age. 25 is something that, that's a quarter of
Yeah.
history. So, there's a lot more to learn, but there's a lot that you can do with what you learned so far. I think
Right.
also something that's really important that we forget about just growing up is the power of unlearning. A lot of times in our culture, we've been taught a lot of things that didn't necessarily um, get us in the right
Yeah.
spaces sometimes or just not true. So it's really important to learn because yes, the wisdom that you gain with learning is something that is really beyond a lifetime. So it's something that can really put in it really gets the next generation focused on what they think life is all about. And, we have that responsibility to really share what has been taught to us, the experiences, and just life itself to really, you know, use that wisdom to share to those that are in their upbringing, especially between the ages of like 5 and about 18, but honestly, like, since you're an infant, there's so
Right.
much that you can learn, so that's a blessing that you're taking, especially in an area like basketball, and you're teaching it to boys and girls because that's something that, you know, it's going to really teach a child the importance of discipline and mindset and, you know, just to organize your mind and just, the value that you have to give. So we appreciate you touching on those areas, especially when it comes to business. You also made many great points, but it's important to be invested in different spaces. I know a lot of times we talk about, finding your niche and things like that, but especially coming from like an African culture, like coming from our area, like we're blessed with so many gifts. So, you really don't plant a seed to have one flower, you plant seeds for a harvest. So I really admire that you touch on a lot of important things like, coaching, teaching, and also being willing to learn because, as a successful business owner and entrepreneur, you always got to learn, like learning never stops. So, um,
Right.
yeah, we appreciate you touching on that. So, I just want to shift gears for a little bit. Definitely want to get into sports. I love sports just as much as,
Yeah.
yeah, we love sports, obviously with today being the Super Bowl, I know a lot of people are tuning in, but sports is sports, like basketball is something that has changed our whole lives, playing it and watching it and seeing how it really brings the community together as well as football and soccer and with me like I was a sprinter. I played every single sport, but track was always like what
Yeah.
basketball and football is to whoever else. So being a sprinter and having the ability to have so many like you know areas in track and field and different events, like just the endurance and the discipline and what it teaches you. What would be one of your favorite memories? I won't single it out and say basketball because,
Yeah.
we play quite a few sports, but,
Yeah.
what would you say is one of your favorite memories playing a sport?
Yeah, so I think one of my favorite ones was for one was getting that first, that scholarship, to a college. I remember my 11th grade year going to my senior year. I didn't really have no offers, so it was getting, it was crunch time. A lot of my friends were getting offers, and it was at a time of my life where I was like, well, damn, like, do I gotta kind of shift this to the side and focus more on education now? Now that I'm getting closer to college, or do I continue pushing? But my first scholarship I got was from Virginia Union, which was a Division II out there in Virginia, and they came to a pickup game, and a guy named Rick Goins, he does a lot for the community with kids, getting them into school and things. But I was connected through his father. That was like my main trainer growing up. And I remember I just got this text. He was like, I'm having an open gym today. There might be some coaches there, but just pull up and have some fun and get some work in. And I remember I wasn't going to go, but then last minute I was like, you know what? Let me just go. Let me just see. Let me get some extra work in, and then things like that. And then coaches just happened to be there. I was playing good, and then And I didn't even find out. Actually, your brother found out before I found out. I'm on my way back home, and I'm turning the keys in the door, and Dom texting me talking about some, yo, congrats, bro. That's big. And I'm like, oh, what you talking about? And then he's like, yeah, I heard you got the scholarship from Virginia Union. And I'm going on Twitter, and I see everybody on Twitter talking about it. But that was definitely one of the biggest points, because it was like that was the first time I felt like I was getting rewarded for like all the times I was in the gym, or all the times I wasn't going to parties and events, and skipping that to go work out. I feel like that was the first time that kind of paid off. And even though I didn't go to Virginia Union, ended up going to a different school. It was just like a big type of relief, just knowing that, like, all right, this works. Putting in hard work, it works. Might not happen a day later, might not happen a week or a month later, but if you stay to it, you stick strong to it. In God's plan is the perfect time, and God's time is the perfect time. And so, getting that was probably one of the biggest moments in my just basketball upbringings.
That's amazing. Yeah, you're right. A lot of times, like, we're not really as patient as we like to be. We're genuine about like what we want to do for the people and like our mission and stuff. But when it comes to like the patience,
Yeah,
I think the patience is really the biggest challenge because, you know, you go hard, not particularly to get rewarded. It's like bigger than that, but it
yeah,
can be a little discouraging if you feel like, dang, like
yeah,
don't know if my prayers are, I don't know if this hard work is really working, but yeah, like patience,
yeah,
like
yeah,
patience really teaches you the importance of just understanding that like you said, that moment, and ironically, you didn't even go to that school, so just the favor even beyond that,
right,
like, when God makes you wait, like, it's not just for something, it's because He has just, like, everything else that comes with beyond
yeah,
what we can, like, really think or imagine, so, yeah,
right,
I mean, that's the thing that's, like, the blessing about school and like scholarships and playing sports and like you want to be accepted, of course, but it just puts you in a really humble state. It teaches you like hard work is necessary. For faith without works is dead. Like the works is really what allows the faith to really nourish, and the patience really is there too. So really
right.
appreciate you.
No,
Shit,
that's yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like, and I remember one thing, like just God's discipline. It's like, you might, for example, like starting a business, you might, let's say you want to start a business, and a week later, you, in your mind, you think it's going to blow up. Or let's say with sports, you think if you go hard for a week, you're going to get a scholarship a week later. One thing that, one of my mentors told me, he was just like, it's not the fact that God wants you to wait, or wants, to put you through a struggle and all that. He's just trying to prepare you, so once you are in that moment, you'll be ready for it. If you ain't been through no trials and tribulations, or no type of, any type of obstacles coming in the way for you to reach that goal, for one, you're not going to be as appreciative of it once you do receive it. And then, for two, you're going to have a lot more knowledge, once you do receive it, from all of the obstacles you went through in the past. So, I feel like, things might not happen at a time of your convenience, but that's just God, making you stronger. He's making you become a soldier. So when you do receive that blessing, you keep that blessing. It's not something that is temporary, where, it goes away a week or two later. So, the quicker you always receive something, the quicker you could lose something. So I always say, that foundation, and, that grind is what you should embrace. I think that's the thing that makes having the accomplishment worth having, even in the first place. So that was definitely big with my mindset, especially towards just even life in general. So definitely.
words of wisdom, bro. Words of wisdom. Yeah, it's absolutely true. You know, as humans, sometimes we think we know it all, and we really don't know anything. Even with all the experience and the wisdom that comes from there, wisdom comes from God. It's not a man-made thing. Even your experience, people can go through the same things over and over and still not learn,
Right,
So really like recognizing the wisdom and everything that you just highlighted is really important because this is all a part of your story, like the hardship is a part of it, falling down is a part of it, being able how to learn how to stand up is a part of it. So every single aspect is like it has each detail is important, and, it's like I mentioned before, the waiting period that,
Yeah,
people struggle with, but when you're able to, like, tell a story like you have been sharing
yeah,
today, it's a reminder that's like, wow, like, it really humbles you,
yeah,
puts a lot of things in perspective and teaches you, "Wow, God, like, you love me so much that you put me through all this, and, like, you had all of this in store for me anyway." So it just it's very humbling, and it teaches you the value that he gives you and why it's a necessity to share with other people. So, speaking of that, I definitely want to shift into mindset. Everything that we've been talking about so far is mindset, but if we were to specifically get into that topic, what is a key point that you would like to share with the audience regarding mindset?
right. Yeah, definitely. I think one of my main mindsets is not caring about what other people think. I feel like a lot of people they have great ideas, or they might, for example, I know some people, they might go to their parents for an idea, especially with entrepreneurship. Always, respecting and valuing what your parents say. At the end of the day, that's something big that we all grow up on. But there's certain things like technology, for example, for your parents, it might not sound the same because they didn't grow up during a time during technology where people were making money online or through different type of drop shipping and different things like that. You can make so much money online. So if you talk to your parents about it, to them they're going to instantly say no, that's not a good idea, because they don't know. Like I said, they haven't grown up in that type of environment. Whereas, that could be your next $1 million idea. That could be an idea that God put you on earth to do. But, you're so worried about the distractions and, what other people may think, or this might be embarrassing, or what if this don't work? Those ideas, I think those are like the number one dream killers, just in general. So, the main advice I would say is, if you have an idea, just do it, especially, anywhere from 20 to 35, 20 to 40, you're still in that age where you grinding, so I feel like there's no such thing as a bad idea, so just take that time, grind it. If you have a vision, stay down on it. Don't care, like I said, don't care what other people think, and use your energy and give it 100%. I'd rather go 100% for one full year doing something instead of doing it 100% for a month and then getting distracted for 2 months and then trying to come back to it and do it 100%. Typically you won't see results out of that. So just going back from the patience, just staying patient, staying locked in, and like I said, just at the end of the day, be your number one supporter. Whatever you're doing. If you look like you're having fun, look like you're having a good time, you look like you're successful doing it, other people going to feel that energy, and they're going to come around you, and that's what you're going to feel, instead of all of the things you think people might do that's stopping you from doing what you want to do. So that probably my number one advice.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say a lot of stuff, and God reveals to us personally what he calls us to do, and it's not particularly in a way like how we talk on a regular basis as humans. So that
Mhm.
patience to really like hear him and learn how he speaks to you specifically, it's not the same as how it is with everybody else. So you're right, definitely respect, our parents and, our elders and those that do have wisdom that they can share with us, but God gives us his specific wisdom. So it's important to just kind of sound out other voices and really learn how to listen to his voice and be in his
Mhm.
word, because it really does guide you in a way that nothing else will. And, teaches us to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. And self-love is important. Being able to recognize like, your flaws and like your pros and cons and, you
Mhm.
know, really be aware, especially when it comes in the form of business and just any space of professionalism, like
Right,
understand what discipline means to you.
right.
Your discipline is not going to look like the same as everyone else. So just like, us being teachers and coaches and, training and working with children and just people of all ages, we learn just as much as we're teaching. So it's important to really understand, when to have people around you and when to not, like have that balance because I'm introverted, but I mean, I definitely get along with people pretty well.
Right.
But, just really also learning the balance of just there's a time to be completely sound, whether you're studying in the word or studying on your skill set or something where not even music can be played. Like you just have that really silent mode so you can just be tunnel vision and focused. And, it puts a lot of things in perspective too. So I
Right.
absolutely agree with you. There's a time to listen, there's time to not, especially when people are so quick to like shut down
Yeah.
something and just, they're not God. They don't
Right.
know how God is going to do any of what he's going to do. We don't know. So it's about
Exactly.
the humility and the genuine nature of just learning how to be patient and just understand like, okay, God, I'm gonna put this before you, and just really learning to have that one-on-one time with him and
Mhm.
separated from everyone else. It keeps you on that grind. It keeps you on that mode. It keeps you in that very healthy mental space to execute things that on the outside of the field seems and looks like maybe it's not working, maybe it's challenging, or this person's crazy, like a lot of people and children in the Bible, they did things that made, to others probably put them in the underdog range, but God really uses his wisdom in spaces that seem impossible to really show like I do this,
Right.
yeah, my mindset mentality is super critical to having all the elements that you touched as well. So um
Definitely.
yeah, so speaking of that, want to shift it just a little bit, but especially with mindset,
Mhm.
regarding specifically the word faith.
Mhm.
Um, how would you use the experiences that you've gone through so far to share
Mhm.
with the audience what faith means to you?
Right. Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. So, faith to me is, I think that's just your personal connection that you have with just yourself and just with God Himself. I feel like faith, a lot of people they run to God when things are going bad, like just when things, then that's the only time, when they get a parking ticket or just they might be by themselves at night, then they pray to God. But I think faith in general is having that relationship, that communication, that understanding with, for one, yourself, and then with God. I think, like I said, God lives through him throughout us. And I feel like a lot of times, when we things aren't going well or we have nobody to go to, or we might not know the answer to something, we always hear that little voice in the back of our head that, at the in the long term, we're like, dang, I was thinking that, but I just didn't do it. I feel like a lot of times faith is, when you have nothing and it's just yourself, you still have God that you could talk to. You have somebody you could communicate with, somebody that you could share good times with and bad times with. But at the end of the day, that's your bond and your relationship with the Lord Himself. And I feel like a lot of people whose relationship and, for one, their personal connection isn't 100% with themselves. I feel like you can't really have a genuine relationship with the Lord if you don't have a genuine relationship with yourself. You don't respect yourself and treat your body as a vessel. So I think as far as faith, people who take care of themselves, people who lives God's purpose through them, people who do things for others, and don't just think of me first, and have somebody that they could go to. And like I said, times is good when times is bad, and that little voice in the back of your head that always tells you, what you should do that we typically know, but like that's how overall I would define faith in my world and things like that.
Yeah, that was definitely necessary to share because, your belief system really shapes your life, let alone
Right.
lifestyle. And, everyone has something that they believe in. And, when you believe in, who and what is true, and like you actually gain the wisdom to like go on the path that you're called to do, like it's a powerful thing. And it's really not meant to look like what everybody else does. And whatever anyone else does is just anyone outside of you. So understanding your calling and just the faith and having the discipline and the mindset of understanding like, it's a lot of different emotions you can go through as a
Right.
human. It's not just really based on gender or anything, but just the humility that it really pulls out of you. That's where the purpose is.
Right.
It's really wrapped up in the wisdom and the humility of understanding, like, okay, I don't know what I want, but
Yeah.
I know what I want, but I don't. Like,
Yeah.
it's like it's kinda like a mental, like, roller coaster, but not particularly in a bad way. Like, it's the humility of understanding, like, okay,
Mm,
life is a lot of things, but it's precious, it's amazing. It can be challenging, but, God really gives us the wisdom to conquer all things through
right.
Christ. So, it's really important to share that through the gifts that we have to other
Mm,
people. So just like you do when coaching like young men and women, and it's not just within a specific age because we go through different things within specific ages. So something that will look like to someone that's in their, teen years is not going to look the same as someone that's, in their single digits. So
right.
yeah,
Right.
the wisdom that you gain but being willing to teach to the next generation is something that is super critical. So your faith is something that, you got to share with all people,
Right.
when people talk to us, like they forget our ages because God's given us a lot of, you
Yeah.
know, old, but like good wisdom,
Exactly.
a really important thing to have because that's how you can be able to be a teacher to all
Right.
people. But, all you're doing is teaching the word that was given to you. So, you know,
Right.
the importance of just having the mentality to have faith and be disciplined, but just being willing to share and, open up about the necessary things to help us like grow and develop, but
Right.
also having the balance of understanding the disciplinary of when to like shut everything off, is really important when it comes to life. So
Right.
um
Right.
yeah, this is this has been a great conversation.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, it's, all jokes aside, it's definitely been an honor to have you here, especially a man at a very young age, but a really rich age, because especially in today's world, being 25, it wasn't the same when I was 25, or maybe others that have been, whatever ages
Right.
beyond 25 have experienced. But like you said, there's a lot of things in this world and in today's world that we can really learn. And,
Right.
what we learn, of course, helps shape the decisions that we make, the daily um, operations that we have to endure, but just really understanding the faith behind it and the mentality, especially when you connect it to things like business and family and sports and just, disciplinary. It puts a lot in perspective. So,
Right.
with that being said, I would say it's probably maybe my second to last question,
Yeah.
but
Of course. Yeah. You got
um,
it.
definitely want to talk about purpose, right? So that's pretty much what we've been talking about this whole entire time. But, when it comes to the word purpose, right? And the message that you would like to leave to all generations,
Mhm.
when you defined when you define the word purpose,
Mhm.
how would you like to take the word purpose and share it if you were the teacher of the next generation?
Right. Yeah, definitely. So, purpose, I think everyone has a purpose no matter what their situation is in life, no matter age, timing, no matter what. I think everyone has a purpose. And I think it's at the end of the day, just doing what you love to do. I think money for one, yes, it's good to have money, but at the end of the day, that's the devil's tool. Money for one, yeah, it kills a lot of people's confidence, their motivation in life. If they don't receive it, then they just feel like they're not doing any good in life. I know a lot of, and I've met mentors where I've met a lot of millionaires where they're miserable. They're miserable. They have all the money in the world, but their life sucks. And I know a lot of people who don't got a lot of money at all, and their life is great. They're with their families. They're having a good time just with life in general. And I think with your purpose, like I said, just going back to something that you love doing, something that even if it's your job, like you wake up, you do it, don't even feel like you're working. I feel like that's your purpose, and sometimes, that might be sports. Sometimes that might be music. Sometimes that might be schoolwork. Sometimes that might just be motivational talking to people. I feel like, there's everyone has a different purpose. And the main thing and the main way I feel like most people can find their purpose, the one is just going back to, what I said earlier, just finding yourself, becoming in tune with yourself. Sit down and, write down a list of things you like to do if you have a hard time finding a purpose. I feel like now these days we live in a world where you can literally do anything and you can make money now these days, like legitimately anything. So, for example, like if you like cars, go outside, knock on some doors, become some mechanics for some individuals in the neighborhood, just different things like that. Like I said, I feel like we live in a world now where you can do anything, you can make money. People see you're having fun doing it. People's going to enjoy watching you doing it. I feel like that's the goal at the end of the day. So my message to those out there, like I said, just becoming entwined with yourself, learn and figure yourself out. The older you get, the more you're going to learn about yourself. So once you find that one thing that you really love to do, and like I said, you could do 10 hours a day without it feeling like 10 hours a day. And I feel like once you find that, go 100%, make something happen out of it. You can start a business from it, or you could just teach people from it. But at the end of the day, I feel like that's your purpose and that's your reasoning, that you're here on earth for, which is why you genuinely have a good, mindset every time you think of that certain thing. So that's definitely would be my message as far as purpose to, just all generations out there.
We appreciate that. So I guess to close out, um, so final question for you.
Mhm.
And this is kind of like a double question, something that I'm sure you ask yourself every day,
Mhm.
but what do you think that your purpose is
Mhm.
on this earth?
Right. I think my purpose is just educating. I feel like, especially in our community, African American community, Black community, even, Hispanic community, just minorities in general, feel like we lack education, especially growing up. It's not our fault. Sometimes it might not be your fault, might not be your parents' fault. It's just sometimes the environment you grow up in, certain things you just, is more value to learn in your environment. For one, in our environment, we learned you always have to protect yourself, always guard yourself, no matter what. And that just goes verbally, somebody messes with you, you just had to learn how to stick up for yourself. Where, there's certain other neighborhoods where kids ain't even see a fight until college or something like that. So, like I said, I think the main purpose is educating. I know we live in a world where people are money driven. A lot of people out here, they want to make money. They feel like that's the best way to find happiness. And I feel like that's just the way that we grew up and we learned. But I feel like, for one, you know, growing up, finding a relationship with yourself, finding a relationship with God, and then everything else follows after that. And I feel like, he's gonna lead you to the right direction, no matter what it is, no matter what situation you're in, just stay locked in, know your purpose, as we talked about earlier, and not care about what other people say, just stay locked in with your vision. That's your vision for a reason. It's going to make sense to you starting off because that's your goal. That's what God put you on earth to do. So, stay locked in with that. And then, like I said, just enjoy life. Like at the end of the day, we're here on earth. God put us here. Enjoy life. At the end of the day, we get so focused on chasing dreams and chasing jobs and money and stuff that we just forget the purpose of life. A lot of people, stay close with your family. At the end of the day, those are the people who genuinely care for you. People who, like I said, when you didn't have nothing, they were the ones who were there for you. And I feel like it all starts with that. You build from there. You have your family straight. You have your relationship with God and your relationship with yourself. There's nothing else. There's nothing else that could stop you at the end of the day. So, definitely, keep that in mind. And then, like I said, just always talk to God no matter what, good, bad, exciting, angry, no matter what, just have that relationship. And for one, it's gonna help you out in the long run. And then for two, like I said, things are gonna happen and you can't even explain. It's just gonna happen, like good things. And you're gonna know why, but then you're gonna, kind of be a little hesitant, like, I wonder is that the real reason why? But now at the end of the day, just like I said, stay locked in, stay close with your family, your loved ones, talk to God, stay locked in with yourself, and keep grinding. Like I said, whatever it is that you're doing, just keep going and don't stop. That would probably be my main message out there. And like I said, I think my purpose is to share that message with others, help them gain their confidence, help them become that better person.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, now you can see why we had to have this young, amazing young man. He has been family for a really long time. Really proud of him, especially in the 25 years that he's been on this earth. You know, he has not wasted any bit of time. He uses the wisdom and the experience of what God has called him to experience, and he doesn't hesitate to share with the youth, share with the people, whether they're older or younger. And that's something that's really a necessity as people. You know, we're here to be called, we are chosen. There is a chosen path that God has us. And, you know, we at the Lady E Effect, we really are passionate about the community. We're passionate about the development, the changes, the growth, being able to thrive and conquer, you know, the track and field of life's challenges. That can be in various spaces, but you know, all the things that this young man has shared is something that is really important to understand. You know, no matter where you go in life, God will take you wherever you need to go. He has all that you need. He really is your best friend. And when you learn him and you really learn who you are and, you know, spend that necessary time with yourself, but also still not hesitate to give to the people, be of service, learn, teach, grow, help one another evolve. That's really what community transformation is. And I definitely wanted to have this young man on here. Um, Being a man of color, being a man growing up in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, coming from a foreign and cultural background, but just really having the values it takes to really teach the people, you know, is something that here in this podcast space and in this community we really care about. So thank you so much for just blessing us today with your wisdom, your experiences, and you know, just sharing really valuable key and necessary life points. We really appreciate your time. And if you have anything to close us out, you're welcome to.
Yeah, of course. Not definitely. And like I said, I appreciate having me on here in the first place. Definitely know this is going to be a great channel and a channel that everyone needs. Like I said, I think, a lot of times people turn on TV or YouTube or radio and it's about somebody shooting somebody or going to the club and throwing up money. And that's what everyone's worshiping at the end of the day. I feel like, things like this where, you're able to teach the value of faith and teach the value of, self-love and self-appreciation, and then just share God's message, that he's given to you throughout to the other people. I think that's something we need to see more of. And I think, like I said, I definitely, send my salute, the channel salute you as a person. And then, like I said, it's always love. So, anytime,